Hi, I'm Mrs. Sandoval from Bancroft, and today we're going to be reading A Visitor for Bear. No one had ever come to Bear's house. It had always been that way, and Bear was quite sure he didn't like visitors. He even had a sign, "No visitors allowed." One morning, Bear heard a tap, tap, tapping on his front door. When he opened the door, there was a mouse, small and gray and bright-eyed. "No visitors allowed," said Bear, pointing to the sign. "Go away." He closed the door and went back to the business of making his breakfast. He set out 1 cup and 1 spoon, but when he opened the cupboard to get 1 bowl, there was the mouse, small and gray and bright-eyed. "I told you to leave," cried Bear. "Perhaps we could just have a spot of tea," said the mouse. "Out!" commanded Bear. "Most sorry," said the mouse. "I'll be going now." Bear showed him to the door and shut it firmly. Then he went back to the business of making his breakfast. But when he opened the bread drawer for 1 slice of bread, there was the mouse, small and gray and bright-eyed. "Unbelievable!" rumbled Bear. "Away with you, vamoose!" "I do like a bit of cheese," said the mouse. Bear pointed a rigid claw toward the door. "Yes, then, here I go," said the mouse. "Farewell," and the mouse whisked out the door. This time Bear shut the door very firmly and locked it tight. He locked the windows too, for good measure. Then once again he went back to the business of making his breakfast. But when he opened the fridge to get 1 egg, there was the mouse, small and gray and bright-eyed, of course. "Be gone!" roared Bear. "A crackling fire?" ventured the mouse. "This is impossible, intolerable, insufferable!" cried Bear, shrieking with anger and disbelief. "Terribly sorry," murmured the mouse. "Now you see me, now you don't. I am gone." And the mouse looked very sorry indeed, while he waited for Bear to unbolt the door and let him out again. This time, before he went back to the business of making his breakfast, he shut the door very, very firmly and locked it, boarded the windows shut, stopped up the chimney, and even plugged the drain in the bathtub. Carefully, Bear set about the business of making his breakfast. He opened the cupboard. No mouse. He opened the bread drawer. Nothing. Whew! He opened the fridge. Mouse free. Yes, indeed. He lifted the lid to the tea kettle. There was the mouse, small and gray. Well, you know the rest. Bear fell to the floor and wept. "I give up," he blubbered. "You win. I am undone." "So sorry," said the mouse, "but perhaps if I could just have a bit of cheese and a cup of tea, do you think we could unstopper the chimney and have a nice fire?" Bear blew his nose with a loud honk. "But then you must go," he sniffled. "No visitors allowed." "You have my word," said the mouse. Bear unshuttered and unboarded the windows. He unlocked the door, unstoppered the chimney, and unplugged the drain. He brought out 2 plates of cheese and 2 teacups, and he made a crackling fire in the fireplace for 2 sets of toes. The mouse warmed his feet and nibbled and sipped, and Bear did too. They sat for a long while. The clock in Bear's house ticked loudly. Bear cleared his throat. The mouse looked most attentive. No one had ever been attentive to Bear. "The fire is nice," Bear announced. "Lovely," said the mouse. No one had ever said Bear's fires were lovely. "I can do a headstand," said Bear. "Very impressive," exclaimed the mouse. Bear told a joke. The mouse laughed heartily. No one had ever laughed at Bear's jokes before. Bear began to think of another joke. The mouse set down his teacup. Bear quickly lifted the teapot. "There's plenty more," he said. "So sorry," said the mouse. "Most kind, but I must be on my way." "Really, you needn't go." "I am off," said the mouse, springing up from his chair. "Wait!" cried Bear, but the mouse stepped out the door. "Toodaloo," said the mouse. "Don't go!" wailed Bear, throwing his body across the path. "But I gave you my word," said the mouse, pointing at the "No Visitors" sign. "Oh, that!" cried Bear, pulling down the sign and tearing it up. "That's for salesmen, not for friends." "Not for friends?" asked the mouse, small and gray and bright-eyed. Bear nodded. The mouse's bright eyes grew brighter. Bear smiled. "Do you like 1 lump or 2?" said Bear most politely. "I like 2," said the mouse, and Bear agreed. So now we're going to tell the story back. We're going to be using, this is a complete episode, so we're going to be using our story grammar marker and our Brady to tell the story back. So we're going to start up here. This is a story about a bear, but it's not about an ordinary bear. This is about a bear who, instead of living in a cave like all the other bears do, lives in a house. So this bear has furniture and a kitchen, and he eats food out of a refrigerator, and he cooks food, and he makes breakfast just like people do, and he also likes to drink tea. The other thing about this bear is he has a certain peculiar thing about him, which is that he really doesn't like visitors. Every day he does like to make his breakfast. He makes it alone, and he likes to spend time at home by himself, until one day something changes. And what changes is that a mouse comes by, and this mouse wants to come in and have some tea and a hot fire and a little bit of cheese with the bear. The bear really just wants to be alone. You know, he spends all his time alone, and in fact, he has a sign that says "No visitors allowed." And so he's feeling kind of frustrated about the fact that he has this mouse at the door that wants to come in and visit him. So he tells the mouse, "No thanks, I don't want anybody to come in." But every time he turns around while he's making his breakfast, this mouse keeps showing up. Why, this mouse shows up everywhere. In fact, let's look back in the book to see where this mouse shows up. First, the mouse shows up in the cupboard when he goes to make his breakfast and get a bowl. And then the mouse shows up. Every time he shows up, he puts the mouse out. Then when he goes to get his bread, there's the mouse again. And he kicks the mouse out a second time. Then he goes back to the business of making his breakfast, and when he opens the fridge to get an egg, there's the mouse again in the fridge. And so this mouse just keeps showing up, and he does everything he can to try to not let the mouse get back in the house, and he thinks he's okay. He goes around the house to all the other places and he thinks he's fine until he gets to that teapot, and then the mouse is there, and the bear gets so upset. He realizes he's not going to keep the mouse out of the house, and he decides finally, there's nothing else he can do. He'll do what the mouse wants, because if he does what the mouse wants, then finally the mouse will just leave him alone after that. So he has the tea with the mouse. And what does he find out after having the tea with the mouse? The mouse listens to him. The mouse laughs at his jokes. The mouse watches him do a handstand. The mouse likes his tea. And after that, even though the bear thought he really wanted to be alone, this is going to be one of those stories where at the end, does he realize that he likes to be alone after the mouse leaves and leaves him alone? No. This is not a neat tie-up, because instead of realizing that he wants to be alone, the bear realizes that instead he wants to have a friend, and that he'd rather not be alone anymore, that it's much better off to be having a good friend, hang out with him, and spend time with him. And the bear realizes at the end, his final feeling is he's happier with a friend than he was when he was alone. And that's why he tears up that sign at the end that says no visitors allowed. So that is the story. See if you can do the same story back. If you have your parents print out one of these sheets from the MindWing website, then you can go through and you can retell the whole story using you don't actually need a Brady. You can use the sheet and you can go through and tell the whole story step by step using the paper. Good luck with that. I hope you enjoyed the story. Thanks for watching. Bye.